Dear young adults, Om Sai Ram. Welcome to the first session for 2018 of the Satya Sai Young Adults Talent Development Workshop. Before we kickstart today's workshop, let us pray to our beloved Bhagavan for his blessings to ensure that this session runs smoothly. Dear Bhagavan, we pray to you to seek your guidance, to deepen our understanding and broaden our thinking. Swami, with your divine blessings, may the skills that we developed from this workshop be used to aid us in our daily lives. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Today's session will be facilitated by Sister Raksha Mahtani from Spain. Raksha Mahtani has been an active member of the SSIO in Spain since the year 2000. She has served both at center and national levels, including being the National Council President of Spain. At present, Raksha is the Zonal Young Adult Coordinator for Zone 6, South Europe. Raksha is a SSE EHV teacher and is currently a qualified trainer of the Institute of Satya Sai Education in South Europe. At a professional level, she is a kindergarten and primary school English teacher, as well as the Education and Human Values Director in a primary school she works at, where she implements the inspiring and self-transformational methodology of Satya Sai Educare with the teachers, parents, and children. Sister Raksha, the floor is all yours.
Thank you so much. Well, loving greetings to each and every one of you participating in the session today. For me, it's an absolute honor to share this workshop with all of you, and I would like to begin by expressing my heartfelt gratitude towards our dearest Satya Sai, who for me is indeed my true source of inspiration. I'm sure we all have the similar feeling that his teachings have clearly made, and they actually keep making, a huge impact in our lives by helping us to lead more meaningful lives based on the universal values of his message and teachings. So before anything, thank you so much, Swami, for your loving inspiration, guidance, and example. So as you can see on the slide, and as we've been announcing these days, this workshop is about gratitude, and it is entitled Gratitude is the Best Attitude. And actually, I think it's a really nice time of the year, just starting a new year. We all, I'm sure we've had our New Year resolutions. We look upon things we would like to improve in our character. And I think gratitude is one of these feelings that we all are completely imbibed with. And somehow what we would like to do in today's workshop is the structure we will follow is mainly we will start by understanding the true meaning of gratitude. And this we will do through some stories and examples that can serve as practical tips. Then we will see how we can develop this feeling of gratitude within. And finally, we will look into ways of expressing gratitude in our daily lives. Because again, with everything that Swami teaches us, he always says that the most important part in his teachings is the practical implementation. So of course, like he says, true education is not just about information, but about transformation. So let us begin already by making this session interactive, because it is really inspiring for me to learn from all of you as well. So I'd like to begin with a very simple question, and please feel free to share a few words in the chat box, providing your answers. So it's very simple. Once again, what is gratitude? So what is gratitude to each one of us? And you can share your thoughts in the chat box, and I will pause for a minute. Thank you. So I can already see some beautiful answers coming in, so I'll start reading them. So Prega says, gratitude is to be in a state of thankfulness at all times. Dulakshya says, sorry, it's going really fast, let me just go back, being thankful and humble for everything. Irena says, gratitude has to do with thanking from the heart. And Kartika says, gratitude for us is giving back to society in our own way. So this is from Arun and Kartika. Very beautiful answers. And Prema Lachman says, being thankful and show kindness to all in all situations. Wonderful answers. I'll just wait a bit to see if there's any more. So Jata Vedan says, the quality of being thankful. Kiran says, being happy with whatever you have been given and whatever circumstances arise. Very profound indeed. So I can see many of you already bringing up lots of things we will be talking about throughout this workshop. So it's very beautiful that it comes from you at this point. And I will just move on to sharing with all of you what the definition of gratitude is according to the dictionary. And you will see that a lot of it has already been said. Actually, all of it has been said by you. So gratitude in the dictionary is defined as the quality of being grateful or thankful. And it is the readiness to show appreciation for and to return kindness. So as I told you at the very beginning, okay, this is a definition for gratitude. However, I think one beautiful way to understand things, at least as a teacher, what helps me many times is through stories. And somehow through the moral of these stories, it is beautiful to see how we can apply these teachings in our lives. So I'd like to start with a very simple story of a father who, when his child was born, there was this check. And, you know, as the child would keep achieving things, as this son would keep achieving things, automatically a zero would be added onto this check. So, of course, in the early years, when the child started doing things with his father and his parents, of course, these zeros would keep adding on. So we would have a few zeros that kept adding on to this check as he kept achieving different things while he was with his parents under their fold. And what this father said to his son, he said, when you are in your teens, that is when you start the age of 13, I will hand this check over to you. And again, as you keep accomplishing things, a zero will be added every time you achieve something new. So this son was very excited when he was 13 and he had been given this check with a few zeros already. However, as he started doing things, still living with his parents, when he was 13, he started his first examinations with a lot of effort, studying, got very good grades. So he kept adding zeros onto this check. When he turned 18 and he could be independent and he left for university, and he started studying his degree, and you know, the first examination he passed and got a wonderful grade. This added again another zero onto this automatic checklist, which somehow started gaining zeros as soon as he achieved something new. And you know, this son started growing even older and achieving more and more things. He, after achieving his degree, he got an honors, he went into a master's. So this kept adding different zeros. He met someone to spend his life with, a beautiful person that he shared his life with as well. And it was another achievement to be successfully married, have wonderful children as well. And he became a very good businessman as well. He started his own business. So again, this kept adding different zeros onto his life. And his father had told him, when you are the age of 33, after 20 years, we will get back together and go through this check again and see its value. So this son was gaining more and more pride, more and more achievements as he set up his own business, earned a lot of money, gained a lot of fame. All these zeros were adding onto the check. And when he finally had to go and meet his father again after all of these different achievements, when his father looked at him and asked and said, "My dear child, how has it been? Let's see your check. What is the state of this check?" And when his son looked at his father and he said, "Oh, dear father, when I was with you and when I had this check, there were just a very few zeros on, and look at all the different things I have achieved with my effort. So I have achieved so much more. I have transformed this check into something that has such great values, billions and billions. So this is the situation, and look, you must feel so proud of me. I'm so proud of myself." And he kind of said this filled with a lot of ego, with a lot of self-pride, somehow not taking into consideration everything that he had received. And his father very humbly just said, "Okay, my dear son, what would happen if I cover this one?" So his father put his hand on the digit one and he asked his son, what value would all these different zeros have without that first foundation, that first check, the first check you had been given with that one? What value would all these zeros have? In that very moment, his son, tears came into his eyes. He understood exactly what his father was trying to tell him, and he apologized for not really taking into account everything that he had been given. So once again, his father showed him that yet all these zeros have a lot of value, but they only are meaningful with that first digit one, that foundation, that base that he had been given from his very young age. So how does this relate somehow to gratitude? I think it is very beautiful to look at this quote as well from Albert Schweitzer. For me, Albert Schweitzer is someone who has really inspired me a lot. I look a lot at his teachings. He was the Nobel Peace Prize winner in 1952. And I really invite you to go through his literature, but he has beautiful quotations. And one of these beautiful quotations has to do with gratitude, and it says, "At times our own light goes out and is rekindled by a spark from another person. Each one of us has cause to think with deep gratitude of those who have lighted the flame within us." So somehow this story with the check shows us that we must show deep gratitude to those who have lighted the flame within us, to those who have contributed to our growth. So somehow the first practical learning we can get from this story is to never forget or take for granted what has been given to us, or we can rephrase it and put it in another way, to always value and be thankful for what one has been given. So if we move on a little bit to our next story, before that, I'd like to once again, after hearing this story about the tech and seeing this, the importance of the foundation and the people who contribute to our lives, I'd like you to again share in the chat box, if you can just share a short list of 5 things that come straight to your heart and mind about things you are grateful for in your own life. If you can only think of 3 for the moment, it's okay. So again, if you can share 5, that would be great. So I will pause for a few seconds so that you can share 5 things, or if it's if less come to your mind right now, that you are grateful for in your own life. Thank you. So Prega says parents, home, education, food, and family support. Thank you, Prega. Kiran, Swami, family, friends, enemies, world. Beautiful. We have Shalu who says, for being Swami's contemporary, for my family, for opportunity to give to serve him, for my friends. Thank you, Shalu. Karishma says, I'm grateful for having my life, living in a beautiful and peaceful country. Just a minute, it's going really fast. Yes, and having a happy family. Thank you. Kartika says, we are grateful for this life itself. Thanks, Arun and Kartika. Irena says she's thankful for life, for support, motivation, love, and having a nice home. Great, Elena. Prema for parents, for the SAI organization, being born without any disabilities for family as well. Indeed. So many of these things we can see are somehow repetitive, so we feel gratitude towards similar things. Sundar says for health, life, and to be born and brought up in a good place. Dulaksha says for parents, love and support. She's grateful as well to Swami, home, friends, and being safe. So once again, it's beautiful to see how we are really common and we feel gratitude towards very similar things. Swami, indeed, our parents, home, family, health, all of these things are very common to all of us, and we definitely feel gratitude. Sundaram says again, friends, parents, relatives. So we will just continue, and I'd like to share another story with you at this point once again. And this is a story that personally has touched my heart very deeply. When I was a teacher in Madrid, because right now I live in a beautiful island called Mallorca, but I had lived in Madrid for 29 years of my life. And when I was a teacher in Madrid at a school for 11 years, I remember this was around 2007. I had a beautiful student called Marcos, and I had Marcos when he was 4 years old, when he was 5, and when he was 6. And like all children, they are special in their own way. However, I have to say Marcos always created a huge impact every day I saw him, because he had this beautiful, big, bright smile, shining eyes, always happy, just a lovely little child to be around. And when Marcos was born, he was born with a heart problem. So he was operated when he was just a few days old, and the doctors told his parents that, he would lead a life where he could live for 40, 50, 60 years, but he could live maybe just for 40, 50, 60 days. So the parents never really knew, and from the very beginning they were told this. And yes, when Marcos was 6 years old, one night at his home, he passed away. He passed away in his bed. And the reason I'm sharing this story and why it has to do with gratitude comes because the day the parents were celebrating the Mass for their son, we walked into this beautiful church. The priest started, and his first sentence was, "We are here to celebrate the life of Marcos." Already when the priest said these beautiful words, "We are here to celebrate the life of Marcos," it brought tears to our eyes, because just the beautiful approach of someone's just passed away and we're talking about celebrating their life, which indeed is such a beautiful thing to say. And after the priest spoke very inspiring words indeed, Marcus's father stood up and gave a really inspiring speech that till today touches my heart. And I remember Marcus's father stood up and he looked at each and every one of us and he read out this letter that he had written to his own son. And he did share the pain he was feeling in that moment for this tremendous loss. However, what Marcus's father also said was that he could not forget in this very moment how grateful he was for the 6 years, 4 months, and 17 days of life that he could spend together with this beautiful soul. And he told all of us present, he said, in these moments of life where one feels that something so big, so profound has been taken away from you, that life has somehow taken away something so deep and meaningful to you, still then there is room for gratitude for everything that one has been given. And he said to us, and I treasure every single day these 6 years, 4 months, and 17 days that I have spent with my dear Marcos. And he said in front of everyone, he said, if 6 years, 4 months, and 17 days ago, God would have told me, my dear, I will gift you with this beautiful child, but you will only be able to have him for 6 years, 4 months, and 17 days. Are you fine with this? Do you agree? Would you sign the contract? And he said, and I'm sure your mother and I would blindfoldedly, just sign the contract to have you for 6 years, 4 months, and 17 days. And he said, and this is the true feeling of gratitude I have in this very moment, accompanied by this feeling of pain as well. He said, however, this gratitude is what shines. And he said, and I invite each and every one of you who have really known Marcos to live your life like he did, to share unconditional love, to be happy for what you have, and to just value each present moment. So you can imagine how being Marcos' teacher for 3 years and hearing these beautiful words from his parents, they truly, truly connected and connected to each and every one of our hearts. And what I see from this story, the practical learnings I came up with is that in hard times, it is so important for us to recall that one has received more than what has apparently been taken away from us. Because I'm sure we've all gone through moments that have been difficult, and somehow we feel, oh, life has taken this away from me. And if we put it on this balance, like we saw in the image before, surely we will be able to see we have been given much more than what we feel has been taken away from us. And some of you already shared this when we asked what gratitude was, and you spoke about circumstances. And I think gratitude has a lot to do as well to accept what comes to us in life and with faith, because when we believe that the Lord gives us exactly what we need, that life gives us exactly what we need, somehow this helps us accept things with gratitude. And like Marcos' father, to always look at the bright side of life. And I think this helps us somehow engage in an attitude where we don't end up complaining and being victims of what we have gone through, and just really appreciating the circumstances and bringing the best out of them. So I just love to share this story because it brings such beautiful memories to my heart. And again, talking about stories, another story that is very beautiful as well, and I'm sure maybe many of you have heard it, is this story of two friends, Sand and Stone. And it talks about two friends that were walking along the desert. And at some point, one of the friends got really angry with the other. They started engaging in an argument. And because the argument was getting bigger and bigger, the tone of the voice was increasing, at some point, one of the friends slapped the other on the face. So the one who was slapped was really hurt. And very quietly, he walked away. And on the sand, he wrote, "Today, my best friend has hurt me deeply." So he wrote this on the sand. His friend watched him but didn't really say much, as they were quite upset with each other, so they just kept walking. And as the days went by, they just kept walking. They were really thirsty being in the desert, but finally they came up and they saw a beautiful oasis. So not only could they drink water, but they could also bathe in this water. And the friend who had been slapped, somehow he got stuck in the mire and he was drowning in this water. And when he was drowning in his water, he could not save himself. And his friend approached him and saved his life. So in this moment that his friend saved his life, he was really thankful and grateful, and he went up to a rock that was there in the desert, and he took a little stone and he started engraving in the rock the sentence, "Today my best friend saved my life." So this friend who looked at him, he was a little bit astonished and wondered, and he approached his friend and he said, "Can I ask you a question? Why is it that when I hurt you, you wrote the sentence on the sand, and when I saved your life, you wrote it on this rock?" And the friend said, well, my friend, I believe that when someone hurts you and when negative things come to you, it is really important to write them on sand so that the wind of forgiveness can blow it away and we do not keep deep resentment. Whereas when someone does something positive and good for you, like our blessings, we must carve them on stone so that no wind can blow these feelings of gratitude away. So again, somehow this story relates to this feeling of gratitude, and it teaches us that it is really important to treasure goodness and positiveness. It is also important to carve one's blessings on stone, like the friend, when something positive happened to him. It is important for us to let go of negative feelings and let them be blown away, like in this story as well, and to not hold on to resentment, to not hold on to this feeling of when someone's hurt us, that we really, keep this negative feeling of resentment. And for this, it is really important to learn how to forgive. And talking about forgiveness and resentment, I'd like to once again ask you to interact with me and to share this moment together. In terms of, I'd like to ask you what exercises or practices help you let go of negative feelings. So if you can just jot down a few ideas on the chat box of what exercises or practices help each and every one of you let go of negative feelings. Thank you. I will pause for a few seconds so that you can start typing your responses. Thanks. Subramanian says to think about Swami's teachings. Indeed, they are very helpful. We also have Abina who says, removing myself from the situation. Yes, Abina. Kartika says prayer, meditation, and service. So again, this is Aruna and Kartika. Shalu says to speak to Swami for intervention to take away negative feelings. Indeed. Sundar says focusing on positive feelings. Charisma says music and substitute them with happy memories. Kiran said what helps her is to keep silent, to walk away, to just think negative karma is wiped away from your cycle. Kunal says the repetition of the Lord's name indeed is very helpful. Vedant says yoga and meditation. So again, we all hold on a lot to spiritual practices like keeping silent and avoiding as well, meditation, substituting them for positive thoughts. Prega says, I remove myself from the situation for some time, then go back and with level head and try to understand the inner reason. Thank you very much for that as well. Roja says, singing bhajan helps. To Laksha, listening and singing to positive music, bhajans and chanting the Veda. Sometimes deep breathing and being in silence. Sundar says to practice forgiveness. Subarao, to be busy with other Swami service and Namadjapa, indeed. So once again, these are coming in and we share these common practices, singing bhajans, all these spiritual exercises. And Natasha says that she repeats to herself in situations like these, this is good for me. Beautiful. Irena shares that she uses Phyllis Crystal's exercises and the smell of vibhuti helps her. So thank you so much again for these valuable contributions and methods that each and every one of you use. And again, as we see, we share common practices as well. I would just like to share something that helps me a lot and that I came across as well. Swami many times explains to us that for us to change something, for us to readjust something, it is very important that we first understand. So Satya Sai says, first understanding, then readjustment. And one very useful strategy that I have come across in life is this face, feel, deal, and heal. So first of all, I think it's really important for us to accept, to face and feel this resentment. As one of you said, sometimes it may be so strong, we're not ready for it, so we have to keep some distance. And just when, like you said, when we are more calm and are able to approach this, at some point it is very important for us to face this feeling of resentment, to face it and feel and understand where it is coming from, like you also shared. So this self-introspection to observe the root cause of negative feelings. So if we truly ask ourselves, why am I feeling this? Surely we will see that somewhere there is this feeling of expectation. So there was an expectation, and somehow due to that expectation, there has been a disappointment. So when we observe that root cause of this negative feeling, this is something more general, but maybe we have to ask ourselves, what is the cause of this resentment? What situation, what words, what did the person say or do that has caused this resentment in me? And somehow when we observe this cause and understand where it's coming from, if we then ask ourselves, what effect does it create on me, on myself? How do I feel with this resentment? I'm sure most of us, it brings about many times anger, discomfort, pain. It's like a heavy sack of stones on our back. So just observing the fact that it is causing something negative within us, and just facing the fact that, this is not good for me, this is not positive. Okay, I need to understand where it comes from so that I'm able to change it. I need to observe it with humility, recognize that, yes, I'm having a tough time, this is hard for me, I have these negative feelings, I'm facing them, and okay, but they're not doing any good to me, and I know there's something I have to work on here. So how can I do this? What can I do? And this is where the deal and heal come in. And like you all correctly and beautifully pointed out, many spiritual exercises that our dear Satya Sai has invited us to practice, like light meditation. For me, light meditation is such a beautiful practice, and as we know, there's a moment in light meditation where we pay specific attention and share this light with people who may have caused any pain or harm to us, or any kind of relationship where we feel that there's something that is not very harmonious. And I think just having this light meditation process and having this person in mind and sending them this light and filling ourselves with this understanding somehow brings about this transformation as well. And again, repeating positive affirmations like I remember one of you shared as well, that this is good for me and there's something I can learn from this and it will not last forever, and Swami's teachings, all of these help us immediately to help deal with the situation. And like you also correctly pointed out, it is important sometimes to change focus from the negative to focus on the positive. And this is where transformation comes. And this is where we let go of a negative feeling, but how can we do that? It really helps when we focus on a positive feeling. So many times it's all about forgiveness. It's all about letting go and not taking things personally and being able to just say, okay, I admit I've gone through this pain. I have observed this feeling of disappointment, but how long can I keep this? It's transforming into something that's growing and growing. It's not doing me any good. So I'm going to do these spiritual exercises, focus on the positive, and somehow this transformation comes naturally as well. So this is something that could be helpful. And moving on to one of our last stories as well. Here we can see Swami's beautiful hands together. And this is a personal story of mine when Swami left his physical body. I remember when Swami left his physical body in 2011. Since this happened during Easter time, I was on holiday because, as you know, I'm a teacher. So I was on holiday, and somehow we were in the Sai Center praying, singing together, like you all shared before, devotional singing. All of these practices help a lot when we go through difficult situations. And for me, I wouldn't be able to maybe with a word say what I felt, but I never felt when Swami left his physical body that there was a loss as such, because I felt he was always with us and was still with us, even though not in the physical form. However, I did feel something was different. So when I went back to school after the Easter holidays, I remember walking into class the first day. And when I walked into class, after this 2 week period of holiday, we sat down with the students, and at school, even though I'm the English teacher, we talk a lot about values all the time, and Swami's teachings are the foundation to everything we learn in school. And the children, we speak a lot about head, heart, hands, Swami's teachings all the time. So when I was sitting down and talking to the students, one of them looked at me and said, Miss Raksha, can I say something? You look a little different today. You look kind of sad, but it's not a normal sadness. It is, I don't know, I've never seen you like this before. And it's funny that this student noticed it, because when I walked into class this day, when I was walking into class, the thought I had was, Swami, this is the first time I'm going to share all your valuable teachings that you have taught me. And I'm going to share them with the student today for the first time without you being here. And I was amazed at this thought, like, without you being here, but didn't I say that Swami hasn't gone anywhere and he's as close as ever? But anyways, I had this thought, and then the child is telling me that she sees some kind of sadness in my face that she had never seen before. So I looked at her and I said, Carolina, you are probably right. I do have this feeling of sadness within, which maybe I myself have not realized. And it had to do with, and I told her, I said, all these beautiful things that you say you learned from me, like all these values you're talking about right now, I have learned as well from a very, very special teacher. And this teacher, unfortunately, no more lives. So another boy looked at me and he said, oh, you mean your teacher died? And I said, well, I suppose, yeah, my teacher has died. And he said, well, Miss Raksha, now we understand you, because if you die, we would be really sad as well. And, so this brought a little kind of laughter in me as well, this innocence in a child. And I said, yes, I understand. So he said, so of course, if your special teacher has somehow is not there anymore and he's died, of course, you're really sad. We understand that. But this little girl, Carolina, she just gazed in my eyes. She looked at me really deeply and she said, Miss Raksha, wait a minute. Did you just say that everything that you teach us, you have learned from your special teacher? And I said, yes, Carolina, that's exactly what I said. And she said, wait a minute, Miss Raksha. That means that we have learned nothing from you. Everything we have learned from him. So as soon as she said that, of course, it brought deep tears of gratitude to my eyes. And I felt really touched, because this 5-year-old child was telling me that everything that I have taught them, they have learned from him, from the true source indeed. And this brought this huge feeling of gratitude to my heart. And I felt Swami was telling me, my dear, I have always been with you, I am with you, and I will always be with you. And do remember that this divine source of love within is the authentic doer. And this was the message I got deep within from this beautiful thought that this wonderful little girl shared with me in that moment. So again, going back to the practical learnings we can get from this story, for me, it was once again to realize and to recognize that the true source of love from within is indeed the authentic doer. And this brings gratitude to us because it helps us to not be attached to the little I, which instead nourishes our ego. And as Swami himself says in this beautiful quotation, love lives by giving and forgiving, whereas ego lives by getting and forgetting. So indeed, gratitude has a lot to do with giving and forgiving, and somehow not forgetting what we have been given. So this again takes us to the important part of not only feeling gratitude, but also expressing this gratitude. And like this beautiful quotation from William Arthur Ward says, feeling gratitude and not expressing it is like wrapping a present and not giving it. So indeed, okay, we feel this gratitude. We've seen ways where we can develop gratitude. We've seen what obstacles can come to our path and how we can overcome these obstacles. And now let's just take a deep look at how we can express this gratitude. So we've wrapped this present with beautiful paper. We've put a beautiful ribbon on it. And now we really want to give this present of gratitude to those people and those things we feel gratitude towards. So let me ask you once again at this point, how can we express gratitude? In what ways can we express gratitude? So if you can please just share your thoughts in the chat box again, and I will read through them as they come along. How can we express our gratitude? In what ways can we express our gratitude? Thank you. So Arun and Kartika say, by helping our fellow beings in whatever ways we can. So a helping hand indeed is a beautiful kind of gratitude. Frega says, seva, selfless service, and to smile from the heart. Beautiful indeed. Thank you to both of you. Dulakshya says, spreading love and being happy. That's a way to express gratitude. Natasha says, doing something nice for a person. Rena says, letting your loved ones know how much you value them. Indeed, so it's not just knowing it, but also showing it, like we talk with the children many times, indeed. Irena says, sincere, thankful, and being kind in words. So using kind words, indeed, is a form of gratitude. Shalu says that a way to express gratitude is to follow our conscience. Indeed, Swami many times says that our conscience is our true master. Our spiritual heart is our true master. So indeed, if we follow our conscience, this is the best leader indeed. Thank you, Shalu. Charisma says to love everyone equally and to be happy. Thank you. Now they're coming in really quick, so I'm just going to go back to some of them. Sorry. Yes. Prega says, I think also to be in this state of gratitude and not only when we get something. Yes, so to practice gratitude constantly. Anatoly and Renata say to tell about your gratitude to another person, to share this gratitude with another person indeed. Subarao with a smile, show our love, always be ready to have this service attitude and to pay attention to people and to be kind to them. Thank you very much. And Prema says, by being thankful, helpful, and loving. Sundaram says to count our blessings and to be kind. That's a way to express our gratitude. So very, very beautiful answers once again from all of you. Thank you very much for sharing. And I'd like to just share something that I'm sure we have all come across as well when we read Swami's literature, when he talks to us about the importance of watching. He uses this word watch, and as Satyasai says, watch has a few meanings, And what means, of course, it is a device that helps us tell the time. And many times we're always like looking at our watch. Well, nowadays we may be looking at our mobile or different devices, but if we consider watch as a device to tell the time, somehow we're always looking at our watch to make sure we're on time, to make sure we wake up on time, we reach our work on time, to schedule our day. And SSI invites us that every time we look at our watch, not only to watch this time, but somehow to watch our words, to watch our actions, to watch our thoughts, to watch our character, and to watch our heart. And I think this can be very helpful when we think about gratitude. When we think about gratitude, surely we can think about ways in which we can express our gratitude through words, ways in which we can express our gratitude through actions, ways in which we can express our gratitude through thoughts. And sometimes just a loving prayer for someone, for the world, this is a beautiful way to express gratitude as well. And as Satisai says, the end of education is character. So just being good exemplars and having an inspiring character is a way to show gratitude for everything we have received. And true gratitude, we know, like all the values that lie within us, come from the source of divine love, which indeed is represented by our heart. So I just think this word what can help us a lot to think about ways in which we can express our gratitude through these 5 different aspects. And one practical exercise that I think would be very useful for each and every one of us to do after this workshop is to, I remember at the beginning I asked you to make a list of 5 things you felt grateful for. And the idea now is to somehow revisit that list, to extend it, and as a practice, maybe we can make a list of all the things and people we feel gratitude towards in our lives. And when I say all the things and people, surely we feel gratitude, like we said, towards Swami, our family members, friends, and relatives, but surely there are certain things as well that we feel gratitude towards. For example, personally, I feel great gratitude towards nature. And it's really nice to just remember and make space for this. Because sometimes when we make space for something, that is when we can fill the space. So the idea is to first make a list of all the things and people we feel gratitude towards. And when we make this list, I suggest, this is what I did at the beginning of the year, and it really helped me. I went through all my contact list in my mobile phone as well, and I wrote down all the names of these people who I somehow have shared my life with on a daily basis, weekly basis, monthly basis, or yearly basis, and just to write down all those names, to think about these people, and beside that, then ask ourselves the question, in what ways can I express this feeling of gratitude towards them? And sometimes it can be something or someone as simple as the person who sells bread to us every morning. When I buy my bread every morning, the person who sells this bread, she's such a sweet little lady with a big smile, and sometimes she will give me with a little pastry or something. And I just feel so much gratitude towards her as well that I added her on my list as well. And what I invite you all to do is, with this list, every time we express our gratitude to this person, to this thing, talking about nature, for example, if we feel gratitude towards nature, one way to express gratitude towards nature is by protecting and taking care of nature, by recycling, for example. And once we write all of these different things, we make a room and space to express this gratitude. I invite you to put a little tick on the list, and somehow throughout 2018 to cover the whole list, and in whatever way we think possible, through words, through actions, through a loving thought, through our character, and of course our heart, to express our gratitude to each and every person we have added onto this list. And just to come to an end of today's workshop, I'd like to just end again with something that touched my heart truly in 2007 when I was in Prashanti Nilayam. Maybe some of you were there as well. It was the World Youth Conference in 2007, and it was a beautiful moment, a beautiful stay in Prashanti. There was a 3-day conference, and after the conference ended, I remember that the youth, we still had the privilege to be able to have special lines, special sessions. And I remember that when the conference ended, a few days after, once Swami walked out, well, he came out in his wheelchair with one of his students. And when Swami came out, he also was accompanied by many more students with big bags, with kind of big sacks with something inside. So we were all kind of wondering, what is it that Swami had in these big sacks, and what is he going to distribute? Because they were like big red sacks, and we were wondering what was inside. And when one of the students started taking out the first item from the sack, we saw it was one of Swami's tunics, one of his orange robes. And then the students started giving each one of the young adults a robe, one of these robes, and we were told that Swami had worn these robes. So Swami, every morning darshan and every evening darshan, he would wear a different robe so that he could then gift it to his devotees. So somehow it was really special to receive this robe from Swami's hand itself, even though it was given out through his students, but it came directly from him. I have to share that when I got this robe in my hand, I looked into Swami's eyes and he gazed into my eyes, and I remember just feeling and saying, "Thank you so much, Swami, for this valuable gift." And I felt he looked at me with this beautiful smile, and he was kind of telling me, "Yes, my dear, I accept your gratitude. However, do remember that the best way for you to show your gratitude towards me is I invite you to wear this robe, to put it on, to walk through life like I do. Imagine you are putting this robe on and walk through life just like I do. Be a living example of my universal teachings. And this is the best way you can express your gratitude towards me." And this is a deep thought that came to my mind. And I can see that Shalu says this was a magical moment indeed. And, as I'm sharing it with you, I have these goosebumps and a deep, profound emotion in my heart as well. And I remember Swami, we all get different messages when we receive something, and it is just the right message for each one of us. And I remember this deep thought of Swami really just honestly sharing with each and every one of us. I felt he was telling us, it's not just a robe I'm gifting you with. Again, remember, I invite you to walk through life like I do. Walk through life just like I do. Be living examples of my universal message of love. And the teachings I really get from this beautiful story is that the best way to show gratitude is to practice and to be inspiring examples of the universal human values that reside within each and every one of us. As Satya Sai says, he started saying, "My life is my message," and then he said, "Your life is my message." So he is inviting each and every one of us to be true exemplars of his life. And somehow he's really counting on us to really fulfill our divine mission, which is once again to manifest our true divine nature. Swami says, you're not one person, you are three. The one that you think you are, which is related to the body, the one others think you are, which is related to the mind, and the one you truly are. And he defines this as the eternal Atma, the changeless reality. These human values that reside within each and every one of us. So indeed, one of the best ways to show gratitude is to practice his teachings, like some of you have already shared as well in the chat box. So my dears, coming to a summary of this workshop today, we looked at the value of gratitude, and I'd just like to, through this slide, somehow see how we have connected the value of gratitude to so many other different values as well through these stories and practical learnings. In the first story we saw about the check, we saw that with this importance of the digit 1 and all the zeros that only are really important with this foundation, it taught us the importance of appreciation, to never forget what we have been given. It also somehow teaches us humility, that, yes, when we achieve things, we should never forget all those people who have helped us along the way. Like the beautiful quotation said, all the people who have helped light our flame within. With the story that we spoke about, Marcos' life and his father's wonderful speech, we saw the importance of positivity and looking at life, the bright side of life, like Marcos' father said, appreciating and valuing the 6 years, 4 months, and 17 days of the time he spent together with his child. It also showed us the importance of how gratitude has to do with acceptance. And when we talk about acceptance, we mean truly accepting with faith, knowing that the Lord, life, love, gives us exactly what we need. And just knowing and feeling that brings about a feeling of gratitude. In the story of Sand and Stone, with these two friends, we saw that gratitude has a lot to do with forgiveness. And when we are able to forgive, this helps somehow, again, bring this feeling of gratitude, because when we hold on to things and when we feel resentment, it is very hard to give room to gratitude. When we saw the story about Swami's departure, when he left his physical body, we also saw the importance of realizing that we are not the authentic doers. We have to somehow be detached from our ego and recognize who we truly are. And like this beautiful little girl Carolina showed me, she said, well, does that mean that, if you have taught us everything you have learned from your teacher, that means we have learned nothing from you. Everything we have learned from him. And this somehow takes us back to this feeling of gratitude and realizing that the true source of love within, this divine love, is the authentic doer. And in this last story that we saw also, where Swami gifted us with this robe, and somehow, yes, okay, I accept your gratitude for the robe, but when Swami somehow, I felt this whispering of the best way to show gratitude is to practice and be a live example of my teachings. Somehow this feeling of gratitude brings a feeling of responsibility as well, but it's not a feeling of heavy responsibility, but somehow just like lightness that brings, it's kind of the result of everything we feel inside. It's a way to show through our characters, through our example, that we truly are grateful for everything Satya Sai has gifted us with. And my dears, I'd like to end this beautiful session with all of you by thanking you wholeheartedly for your beautiful contributions. I know this is a virtual workshop, but I just feel so connected to each and every one of you, and I can feel this divine love in the moment, and I feel very thankful for this opportunity. I'd like to extend my deep gratitude as well to the young adult talent development team who have been so supportive, so loving, patient, and I just feel very, very thankful to all of you. To the media team who comes up with these beautiful designs and helps spread the message of these wonderful workshops that take place every month. And again, my gratitude, deep gratitude to each one of you for your loving presence today. And of course, and the most important for me, to express my gratitude once again to our dearest Swami, dearest Satya Sai. Swami, you are indeed the source, the path, and the goal. And you invite us every day, every moment to discover the eternal master and the source of wisdom that resides within each and every one of us. So thank you so much, dear Swami. I love you all, and I hand it over once again to Sister Abina and Jai Sai Ram, and I wish you all a beautiful year ahead, and hopefully we can express our gratitude, because indeed that's the best attitude. A big hug to all of you. Jai Sai Ram.
Thank you so much, Sister Raksha, for sharing those tips on how to show gratitude in all areas of our lives. I'm sure we've all learnt something useful from this session. If we just flick over to the next slide, we'd like to give all of you a chance to complete this feedback form to reflect on what you have learnt and what you would like to see in the future. So we'll just move on now. If you haven't completed this feedback form, you're welcome to continue doing that. I'd just like to tell you all a little about the upcoming workshop, which is with Brother Sai Amit from Zone 5. So our next workshop will take place on February 21st. It will be on being mindful and open to learning, and we'll be utilising the SWOT method to create learning opportunities. Details of this workshop will be released soon. We recommend that if you have not already, to like the Sai Young Adults page on Facebook or Instagram to be notified of the workshop details. The registration for the workshop has officially been opened. We will provide you a link, which is just on the next slide. And we will also be sending out an email in the next few days that will have the workshop registration details as well as the link. So thank you, everybody. We'll close today's session with 1 Om and 3 Shantis, and please remember to hand in your feedback form before you leave. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you, and Sai Ram.